Both have fallen, by the way. The
Yeah,
numbers
no,
are not rookie numbers now.
The Cern of yore, you would be ashamed by that graph.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you could now say 36, or, what would 20-year-old Chipper say to 36-year-old Chipper would be just fucking embarrassed.
The party ended.
Embarrassed by the numbers of wanks and beers on a weekly basis now.
Welcome to the Chip and Cern Show, the podcast about everything and nothing at the same time. They were possibly separated at birth, only to be rejoined to create the sweet sounds that will caress your deepest cochlea. The show is real, random, rant-filled, and ruthless. Please be warned that this show may hurt your feelings, offend your grandma, and even kick your dead dog in the balls. So get ready, and let's get this shit started.
This shit has started. I'm Chip.
I'm Cern.
And you are listening to the Chip and Cern Show.
Yes, once again. Or very possibly for the first time.
Yes. We're back like a virus downloaded from LimeWire or Kazaa right onto the family computer.
Yep, I'm trying to swipe some music.
Just trying to just trying to, download the latest Creed singles off LimeWire. And whoopsie. A couple Trojan horses came along with that bad boy.
Yep.
We're trying to get some Spank Bank material also on Kazaa. That was big.
I think that was probably 90% of the.
Yeah. I can't imagine how locked up those family computers were when you fired that up, especially downloading and then also with dial-up. It was just it's like trying to suck a golf ball through a garden hose or something, essentially.
Yeah. Oh man.
Just
you get like the one line at a time. Bloop.
It wouldn't happen.
One song would take forever.
I mean, yeah, if you were trying to it would take so long. The option to download the whole CD or the whole album wasn't even an option. You had to go song track by track.
Yeah. And if it was like you look at it and be like, like Guns N' Roses, that's like a 9-minute song. You're like, oh, that's you gotta set that to run overnight.
Yeah, that would be.
Hopefully nobody dies because you're getting a phone call every time.
Just trying to get through. Nana's in the hospital. She fell. We tried to call, but the phone was busy all night. Well, sorry, Grandpa. I was downloading Appetite for Destruction. And I wasn't able.
That's why people got so mad back in the day. Remember when they lose your, or if your iPod would get wiped because you're like that's like months of of work that I'll never get back.
And backups didn't really exist. It was all it was just like the time investment was so much. Yeah, that iPod was literally
all the eggs were in that basket.
That was it for sure. But we ask the hard-hitting questions here, Cern, and we like to flex the noodles on the Chip and Cern Show, as you're aware of. And I came across this great question that I saw on Instagram, and I sent it your way. We were discussing, but we said this will be perfect fodder for the pod. This is in the Ask UK, so this is our English friends across the pond.
Okay. Across the pond, yeah.
From Reddit. Question of the week. In your life, have you had more pints or wanks? And then there's a little bit more context here. I started wanking before drinking, but I didn't spend 4 years having 10 wanks a day every Saturday and Sunday. Due to age and having a missus now, I think pint shades it for me. How about you chaps? So this is a great... I did have to get a little bit of thinking going to try to do some back of the napkin math.
I did that kind of... So pints to be for, anyway, a beer.
A beer, yeah. Let's just call it a beer.
Or a little spank bank. Yeah. Or a little spank action. I was doing the math too. I was like, yeah, I mean...
Because you're right. From whenever you start wanking to whenever you start drinking, wanks way outweighs the pints.
And at that point in time, you can wank at like 6.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
you could go.
You can definitely beat your meat several times a day back in the day.
Yeah,
the refractory period's much shorter, and the hormones and the testosterone is just coursing through your body on a regular basis. What we touched on a last week with the PE shorts. Like they need to have the PE shorts need to have multiple like double layer jock straps just built in for the guys to boner control.
Boner control, yeah.
But then there's if this was a graph, you have Wanks that's just up and to the right, and then you have your pints not really doing anything. But then when you start drinking, fucking pints hockey sticks up.
Yep.
And I was talking about this with my wife, who was surprised that I even had to think about it. She said, beers for sure, because I think there is a time for several years where the weekends is high consumption.
Binge.
I think binge, is probably the better word for it. Binge drinking, where... I mean, when you and Yount would come down to the city for the Giants game for the weekends, Cern and Tony would come down, crash at our place with me and my wife for the Giants game. You would like come on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday night drinking, Saturday night drinking, Sunday drinking.
We went on a bender.
How many pints do you think, or how many beers do you think we're having in those 3 days? I mean, at least 20.
Yeah, at least 20.
So I think that beers really, but then now both have fallen, by the way. The numbers are not rookie numbers now.
The Cern of yore would be ashamed by that graph.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you could now say 36, or, what would 20-year-old Chipper say to 36-year-old Chipper would be just fucking embarrassed.
The party ended.
Embarrassed by the numbers of Wanks and beers on a weekly basis now.
Yep.
So if I had a gun to my head, I'd say beers. I feel pretty confident.
I would say beers too.
Yeah. So, and beers keep going up. Wanking, I don't know. I guess
down. Or maybe plateaued.
Yeah, plateaued's probably a good word for it, but I just don't got the the fight's not in the dog so much anymore.
No, especially if you had a few pints.
Yes,
the wank ain't gonna happen.
It's definitely. Oh, sorry, milady. A little bit flaccid. Might be on that one, but I'm gonna go hit the sack. I'm feeling like a nap right now.
Yeah, nap sounds great.
Yeah, so I think pints is good now. Not to be sexist or anything, but I feel that this is really, I don't know, this is a question squarely aimed at gents. I don't know a lot of women who have high wanks, like on a regular.
That's not a question I can answer, so
yeah, that's a good point. I guess we haven't surveyed the fair sex that often around this question, but
I don't know. Do you think there'd be we can get a true
read?
True read, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is, for some reason, for guys to talk about jerking off, no problem. Happy to.
Because it's just like, it happens.
To discuss.
We know what goes on.
Women, it's still very taboo for most, and at least in U.S. culture. But, so yeah, it would be, maybe if we send an anonymous survey out there.
Yeah.
So, but you knock back a bottle of wine or a couple beers as well, easily. Margaritas.
There you go. We know what happens.
We know what happens we know what happens when that comes in. So, I was on Instagram, as I tend to be. That's my social media platform of choice. I did.
Yeah, me too.
Did you sign up for Threads, Cerny? Are you threading now? Are you threading these days?
I didn't thread. I just signed up for it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Twitter.
I don't. Right, and I've been out of the Twitter game for pretty much the date when Musk bought it. I just fucking canceled my account as a fuck you to him, but I still drive his car around all the time, so I understand the hypocrisy.
So you're zero.
Yeah, I'm a wash on. I'm a wash, and I just don't. It doesn't interest me. Like, there's nothing going on there that I feel like, oh, I really need to be in these moments.
Lot of just people whining and yelling about something.
I don't need I got too much of that shit happening elsewhere in my life. I don't need.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's almost like a little platform for little groups of people to congregate and yell at somebody else. It's like, you know what?
Yeah, and it's very. I feel like you got a lot of eggshell walking around there. Like you definitely don't want to say the wrong thing or be in the wrong camp because you'll start getting fucking flamed, and then you're going to get canceled, and then all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, that's why I figured. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
I don't need to.
It's safer
I don't
be,
really care what you have to say anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I concur. I concur on that. But I was on Instagram and I saw somebody just started their first few days at our alumni, Sacramento State Hornets.
Oh, we're talking about Melanie.
Yeah, and I said congrats and go Hornets. You should be sure to relay like whatever you hear from the teachers about us is likely false.
It's erroneous. I'm telling you right now, it's erroneous.
But
yeah, she was like, "Oh, it's like a little city down here." It's like, yeah, well, I mean, people live there, so
they live. There's lots of congregation.
I think she's putting too much into it as far as she thinks it's like high school still. Because she's like, I don't want to wear. I was thinking about wearing a dress the first day, but I don't want to be a weirdo. I said, listen.
Oh, she doesn't know that. No one gives a fuck
who you are. No one gives a shit. They're just here to learn, and that's it. Or whatever.
Yeah, I will say that is very refreshing about college. It's like high school kind of has a lot of that, whatever, just bullshit about cliques and what you wear and all sort of stuff. But in college, it's a little more mature. Who fucking cares?
Not from Chip and Cern, but from elsewhere.
Other people. And junior college is sort of somewhere in the middle of that. Like, there's still some bit of, because I think you kind of still got a lot of the high school people, but at a proper, a 4-year kind of college, I think that's kind of the next step up.
And she's going straight from high school to that, unlike our path. But
the windy long road.
I was trying to. Hey, we got there.
We got to the finish line.
But I was trying to explain. No one cares. No one cares. I said, listen, you're going to have weirdos that, that dress, maybe not weirdos, just some unique people, shall we say, that will dress some crazy shit or just be whatever they want to be. And no one gives a fuck.
No. It's just everyone's minding their own business a little bit more.
I said, people are paying to be there realistically, so they are going to be there. They don't want to put up with any other shit.
Right. Yeah. In junior college, they're paying, but just not as much. Like $30 a unit, not like
now it's
$500
now
or whatever.
It's like the first year or so is free.
At Sac State?
No.
Oh, junior college?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was like, so that's really going to drive the people that are like, well, I'm gonna hang out because it's not costing anything.
Yeah, it's just senior year part 2.
The first 6 weeks,
basically.
That parking lot's full. And then after that, you can park up in the front. That's always the thing.
That's exactly how it is. You shit will sort itself out very quickly, and you just got to make it through the first 4 to 6 weeks of classes, and then you'll be in a good place. I feel like on that front.
I think also there's a struggle with maybe it's generational, but it's like I didn't get the classes that I wanted. And this is outrageous. I deserve. It's like that's not how it works. You're last of the. Last of the. You're a freshman coming in, so you get last.
Bottom of the rung. Now,
but I don't think they quite understand it. She's like, but I'm taking freshman classes. So it doesn't matter. It's not like high school where everyone takes English. 9.
Yeah.
It's it kind of mix it in here and there.
Yeah. And I don't know if this happened to you, but I remember our parents' generation, when they were going to school, they're like, I always remember hearing, well, if you don't get into the class, just show up anyway and just stay there and they'll eventually let you in. Mm-hmm. It's not, it doesn't fucking work like that. I don't know what it was like in the fucking 60s when you were going to college or whatever, but that's not how it works in the 20 odd tens.
No, I guess she was complaining wrong because she was saying, well, I don't like this because she has like a class in the morning and then she has a break until, she's like, I want to go consecutively. So I emailed him to change it. I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, sweet summer child.
So I just laughed and said, okay, she's going to figure out, they're going to say, if you want to change, then you got to go around and find a class and hopefully they have room and have them sign you in. But I said, she'll figure that out.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that was always, it was so competitive because you had I don't feel like 1 year in college, because you plan out your ideal. And yes, your ideal schedule starts at, your first class is like at 10 a.m. and you're wrapped up at 2 o'clock and you have, you got yourself a nice lunch hour or you're hanging out with Cern, whatever, fucking around and getting lunch. That's your ideal. The actuals, it's fucking shotgun blasted all over the week.
And you're like, I'm only going to go on Monday,
yes,
Wednesday, Friday, or I'm only going to go on Tuesday and Thursday. It never happened. I had a fucking every day of the week had some kind of shit. There was one class I had to show. I had like one class I had to do like, it was like on Fridays only at like, it was like, from like 11 to 3 or some shit like that. And it was like the only one they offered that I can get into. And I had to have it. I was like, fuck.
I mean, we had a couple classes that were, those movie classes that we were in, those started at like 7 almost, right? Like it was dark.
Yeah, it was dark. That's right.
That was really something. And I did appreciate, although I had one teacher once in college that was like, oh yeah, you need to be here, because I kept falling asleep in class because baseball had like gym at fucking 5:30 in the morning. So you will like work out for an hour and you have a practice and then the class is at like 7. She's like, oh, no, it's early. But, I was just taking a siesta.
I had a class at 6:30 in the morning once, yeah.
Just
it was
brutal.
Like the only one there. I mean, I had great parking space.
Yeah, but that is true. You do get good parking. On that.
It was so miserable.
It was just brutal. Yeah, and it going all gung ho on is buying books still a financial outlay of like your entire savings account pretty much still?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, she hasn't got any yet, but I believe that's what it was. She was at. What was it? She was, because they, in the tuition they charge you, like they didn't have it when we were there. They were building it. It was going to be completed, that fitness center.
Oh,
well, part of the tuition is like, for use of the fitness center. So she was outraged that, I should be able to opt in and opt out. I said, it don't matter. You go there.
Oh boy.
You have a lot.
Oh boy.
I do think it's somewhat generational where they get all, they think that, I'm gonna argue this to the death. It's like, yeah, I know, I get it, but
they haven't been broken. Age. They haven't been broken yet. I agree.
No, it's age, and it's like, it doesn't. I say, wait till you have one professor that has one Scantron, and you have another professor that doesn't do that Scantron. You have to do this other Scantron.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck.
I mean, there was times that, remember when you would show up and you're like, fuck, I don't have a Scantron. You would drop like $5 to get one because some person would have extras in class, and you're like, hey, do you mind if I'll
buy one off? Yeah.
Yeah, it was always
usually most people were cool and they're like, yeah, no, just take it. It's cool, because you get like a packet of them.
Yeah, and the packet,
there was a few of them that were like,
it was never expensive.
No, it's just a pain in the ass. You had to run down to because they only sold them at the bookstore or whatever it was. And
right, and you had to go down there, and
there's always the class that was like all the way across campus. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Thought I had one more, but I guess I was wrong.
And instead of using the one that everyone, like you said, the one teacher would be like, well, I like this one. It's like a different thing. It has less questions on it. I'm like, can't you just use the same thing that, like, why you got to make it so hard on us? We got a hard enough time already. Just trying to get here and show up. But, yeah, well, that's exciting. All the prerequisites and all that stuff. Criminal law, criminal justice or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. For now. We know that things change.
She was she's like, can I minor in 2 things? I was like easy there, Tiger. I know you're ambitious right now, but don't worry. You'll slow up.
Again, haven't been broken yet.
No.
Haven't been broken yet. I did I do appreciate the, sometimes the attendance not being totally. Some teachers are, you got to be there every class. Some teachers are like, here's what your that's why the first day the syllabus was always such a.
That was important.
It was important to go there and understand how you would be judged and graded, and then adjust accordingly.
Plan accordingly.
I remember thinking, like, what's like, okay, syllabus day, and it's braming. There's kids fucking sitting on the steps, and the teacher's like, oh, there's a couple spots up there if you want. You can't sit on the steps. The fire marshal. Just get into the fucking syllabus, Miss Smith. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get it on.
Okay, so your grade is made up of 2 tests, a midterm and a final, and then literally, like, after that, my mind was like, checked out. It's like, all right, I'm off somewhere else.
We had that one class we had together, the anatomy class. 3 tests, that's it. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Was there a requirement for that class is weird because we had a proper class, like, a lecture hall class, and then there was a
lab,
like a 3-hour break, and then there was a lab. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah. And actually,
the lab was only on Tuesdays from 3 to 5 or something.
And it was like, was there a break in there? It was something weird like that. It was something weird.
I remember not making it every time to the to the lab lecture. Piece.
Yeah, the lab.
Or the lecture. I mean, that teacher was. He was on a bit of a power trip, I think.
Yeah, I explained that one.
Short man syndrome. Yeah,
there was a complaint about high school. Oh, they're not teaching me right, and I was like, "Oh, you're in for a rude one when you go to college." But they don't give a fuck. You can complain all you want, and it don't fucking matter.
They don't care. Is that what was it? I guess it must have been a science building. But remember, at Sierra College, this is the junior college that we went to in Rockland, California. They had all those stuffed mannequins, like there was a mountain lion and different. It was like a jungle, like different scenes. Yeah, it was like a lo-fi Disneyland or lo-fi experience. What if that stuff is all still there or not? But I don't know. I bet some of the teachers that we had were still there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and
I'm sure there is.
I don't know about our movie teacher. He probably is.
Ooh, he was ancient then.
He was pretty but that was a good.
He showed us like Rin Tin Tin. I mean, he looked like he was born. He was born when it fucking came out.
I mean, I will say from I did like that class because I actually learned something.
Better than the Sac State one.
Yeah. Oh, right, because that teacher was.
We actually had a pod on her. Remember? We reamed her.
We did. We'll have to circle that one next time we kick it to the vault. We'll have to find that. She was obsessed, and I would say play Misty for me level obsession with Joss Whedon.
Yeah. Oh man.
Firefly, Buffy the Vampire. He's since been canceled.
Yeah,
I think is why we were talking about it, right? And she was quoted in the newspaper or the Times or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And she was part of the fan club or something. It was something.
Oh, that's right. She was founding member of the Josh Whedon fan club. Yeah,
man.
But that was ridiculous because it was like, okay, and teachers will say, okay, week 7, we're learning about lighting and key lighting or whatever.
Yeah,
you're
and camera tricks like panning and fading in and out. And
you're like, okay, cool. Yeah. And then, week 8, we're learning about, dolly shots and all this different shit from film. Okay, cool. Every example, okay, here's how it's done masterfully. Here's the best in class world-class example of a fucking dolly shot. Buffy the Vampires. I'm like, shut the fuck. Your credibility TGIF, out the window.
You're quoting TGIF? Fuck it.
No, come on, lady. Oh, she was probably creaming when he got a hold of the Marvel stuff. When he directing the Marvel?
I forget. Yeah,
Marvel movies.
I think his name. I can't remember now.
Yeah, but he's been canceled. I think.
And I can't remember what he did. It was something
with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but now I got to look it up. Let's see. He's Joss Whedon. Oh, let's see. Oh, he's playing the lay low game, according to JoeBlow.com. WTF happened to Joss, Joss Whedon.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. What exactly did personal life? Oh, here we go. Political views, marriage. What happened to him? Oh, accusations of workplace harassment. In July 2020. Oh, so pandemic. Oh, was this kind of when the Me Too thing was cracking on?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. Buffy the Vampire and Angel actress Charisma Carpenter alleged that Whedon had abused his power on numerous occasions, calling him casually cruel and a vampire. She said that Whedon had called her fat and asked if she was going to keep it upon learning about her pregnancy. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's
which is interesting if you know that professor, because remember, she was a real strong feminist. Remember, she was really, really strong. So it's interesting that she picked him, and now that came out, I wonder if she still stands with him, or if she
behind him,
or just abandoned ship.
Yeah. Let me see.
Because she used to make those. Remember, she used to make those one-off jokes about guys all the time,
like anti-man jokes.
Oh, you're a guy, you don't understand, or something, that kind of stuff. It was like, okay.
I guess
you're right. I'm stupid.
I mean, I accept that as a white male. Sometimes I have to take it on the chin a little bit.
Yeah, I remember going, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like okay,
wasn't going to hurt. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm 20 years old. I'm not exactly at the peak of my intellectual prowess.
Yes, sexual prowess, maybe.
Yes,
certainly. My wank and
physically, yeah. On my wank and my pints.
My wank and my beer numbers are looking real fucking strong right now, lady. I'll tell you that. At 20 years old, really strong. That's probably the peak. Early 20s.
Yeah. You're at the pinnacle right there. You are matched. You're probably beer for wank right there.
That's a one. You think a 1-to-1 ratio right there? Beer to wank. I think so, because you got the virality of a young man. And you have the thirst of a young man, of a sailor.
Yeah, there you go. Intellectually, I can't say I made the smartest choices back then.
That's true. I really honestly can't say I make the smartest choices right now, but here we are.
But it's a little bit better than when I was 20, 21. So
yeah, there is a little bit more of like a beat, like, okay, an idea comes in my head. Okay, wait, hold on. One, Cerny's not here, and the hooligans aren't around to just easily fan the flames on it. So I think that being out of this environment,
especially with the hooligans, it's like when like Joe or something has an idea and we all know it's bad. It's just that's a fantastic idea. Got to see this through, Joe.
This is some good thinking.
And whack that beehive with a fucking bat like a pinata.
With your wife and your young children inside while you're about to get probably a dangerous amount of bee stingers injected into you. Joe, it felt like he almost went for it, but I think cooler heads prevailed, and he
cooler heads. I'm sure
he let it pass.
If he wasn't married, it may have happened, but I was feeling his better half probably yelled at him if he was out of his fucking mind.
Yeah. I think under different circumstances, like let's say a June afternoon, couple wobbly pops in the belly, a couple key friends there, sort of chanting and rooting it on. I think it's happening.
Yeah, I think
it's happening.
So maybe she had a point, because I think if none of us had a better half, I think there'd be more stupidity, because there's not like somebody to yell at you and shame you for a stupid idea. Only your friends telling you to do it. Yeah,
their spouses and partners are sometimes can be very grounding. Yeah. they bring you back down from what some might perceive as a stupidity.
Yeah. That's usually like, so as Sonny gets older, you realize boys tend to do some stupid shit.
I'm already seeing this, and he has earned the nickname Mini Chipper already, so his future is locked, unfortunately, for the poor boy.
It's already set in stone.
It's already set.
But I get a lot of why do you think he did that? And I was like, listen, there was probably no thought behind what just occurred.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? I'm like, it probably seemed like a good idea, and he just went for it. That's just all I can say. There's nothing
inside the young adult male brain, and we're going to put what age you put this at, like 10 to 25?
Yeah. Yep.
10 to 25?
Yeah, 25, yeah. 25, yeah.
So we're pushing nearly 2 decades of time period that you have to deal with this nonsense. There's not a lot of checks and balances between idea. Yes, there's an idea. Good idea, bad idea. The scale.
What are the consequences to what I'm about to do?
It's not running through a lot of that kind of thought. It just doesn't exist, or that framework
idea,
is not set up.
I'm going to do it.
Yep. Or it's idea.
You know, I still do that sometimes. I do. I get why did you do that? And then I sit there and like, I don't really have an answer for you. I thought it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
How? I just thought the idea and thought, yep, that's it.
Let's move. I like this. Or idea, yes. Will my friends laugh? Also, yes. Execute idea. Execute. Do
Will my friends laugh? That's bonus points.
Yes. Not, and then even the thought of, am I, setting myself up for potential harm? That thought is not rarely does that, especially if you're layering in a couple beers in there, then that is like, that's on the back burner.
And I've had this discussion with my dad, and he goes, and that's the reason why the military likes to come down and recruit 18-year-old boys, because there is no repercussions. You are immortal in your mind. You can do whatever you want, and you will never be hurt.
They're basically preying on young men.
On stupidity.
Yeah. Right, because you don't see, just think about your friends. Have you heard ever of someone who's like 30? It's like, I'm going to go, you know what? I think I'm going to go join the army. How often do you hear of that?
I'm sure it happens.
Maybe in Russia.
I'm sure it happens, but it's not at the rate of 18. Or it's like, I was hanging out. I'm 36, and I was hanging out with my friends, and we decided that it would be a good idea to climb onto the roof and jump into the tree to scare people.
Yeah.
At Halloween time. That's...
with outfit, with like costumes on and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I think all in all, we had an education was received at Sac State.
Yeah. I still see stuff from time to time, even at work. I'm like, I've seen this in our case studies.
Oh yeah.
I think most of the learning, I think you grasp in your later years and your upper division classes that you have to do, more geared towards your degree.
Yeah, at the time, what you are actually, committing to do. But I find the interesting thing. I work for a tech company, and I work in marketing. My degree is actually in marketing. Like, I have a marketing degree from Sac State. But when you survey everyone else, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I was a liberal arts major," or like this or that. It's a hodgepodge. So. I think it seems like there's a lot of pressure on kids, obviously, to have to commit, like, what is your major going to be, and this and that, because that's going to really set your life up for success, or you're going to fuck it all up if you pick the wrong one, when in actuality, that's, in my opinion, not really
a career. I think I had a teacher, a former teacher, well, I don't know what he is anymore, but he was explaining college when I was going. And he would say, basically, college is just proving to your employer that you're willing to take orders and do it, do what you're asked to do, and do it right. Because I had a professor, English professor, and we had every week we had to write a fucking 1-page paper, single spaced, and she said if it's one line over or one line short, automatic D- without even grading it. And I was like, what? But I was like, okay, I guess,
Yeah.
And someone's like, why? And she's like, I'm just going to teach you a lesson. He's like, but why? She goes, because that's my instructions. I'm teaching you for later on in your life. When your boss tells you to do something, just do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it.
And there's those people that are just incapable. They're like, oh no, they think they're not completing it. So it's a page and a half, and sorry, I had to staple it together, and she just D-minuses that shit.
Yep. Boom.
And,
overachiever or underachiever, I got close and then just filled it in with fluff and.
Yeah. some fillers, expand it out a little bit.
Oh, she's like, I'm not getting a D-. If I'm getting a D-, I'm going to earn that D-. I'm not gonna,
yeah, I'm going to earn it with my shitty content.
Slapped on me.
At least it won't be automatic. She will at least she'll at least have the chance to read through it if she needs or if they need. But,
painfully read through it.
Yeah. What were some of your more memorable classes in college, or your favorite ones that you had?
I can't remember the professor. He was from South Korea.
Oh.
And I had him for a couple classes. It was like business management and strategies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah,
he was great. Although he was doing
like you meshed well with his teaching style, like your learning style and his teaching style were a good match.
He was actually a really good guy, and he broke down strategies. And he was actually
nice.
I liked it. I liked him. He was really great. I can't remember his name anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
But, the one thing I do remember, I couldn't stop laughing. It was in class because he was talking about, he was doing some example about pricing and stuff like that. He was talking about the price of lobsters or something. Mm-hmm. And he wrote it with an R, lobster. He wrote it on the board. I remember going, what?
No.
He's like, oh, he's like, oh, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like,
it's like a South Park episode or something.
Yeah, I was like, this is like the most, what's the word? Stereotype. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? But he's like, oh, sorry guys, and he was, then he wrote it out. But I just remember because he kept saying it with an R, and I thought it was just because he did have an accent, and I have a guy at work. Yeah, he's from El Salvador, and he has an accent, and sometimes I have to ask, can you repeat that again?
Yeah. And
he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I say, hey, dude, you speak 2 languages. I speak 1. Come on now.
Yeah.
I bet you if I tried to just roll off Spanish, it would be incoherent. So no, I'm not. I just need to understand so I could execute what you're asking for. But so I just thought it was just a thing. So I was just rolling with it. But then when he wrote the R on the board, I was like, no way.
So I wonder if it must be is it some way that the English is like translated in his head or something? Yeah,
probably. Yeah,
probably. Something
but he was
one
of the best. He was one of the best teachers. I really enjoyed his class. He was actually at the graduation too.
I didn't still
because he wasn't that old. Right. He wasn't that old. He had to be in his early 30s when I was there.
Was I in that class?
No.
Honestly, I'm thinking, what would I answer to the question that I asked? I'm like, I can't think of any classes I had except the ones I had with Cern. Yeah. I mean, I had art classes and stuff because I had kind of accumulated that, or I was looking for some, as a 5th year or senior or whatever, maybe 6th year actually. But I only need 6 units and that's basically 1 day a week. So I was taking some painting classes or
yeah. Like that, trying to fill it out at the end where you're like, okay, I got everything I need to graduate. So that's like a humanities class. And you're like, fuck, whatever.
Oh, right. Now, is she, hopefully she's referencing ratemyprofessor.com if that still exists.
I don't know, actually. I'll have to ask her.
That would be a fool's errand if she's not. Yeah. She's not doing that. They
must have something like that. They have also
just raw dogging professors without even knowing what. I mean, because you want how as a teacher, not from what the syllabus, and you need what are the boots on the ground, what are the troops in the trenches really say about this is Mr. Smith.
Are they a 4.2 out of 5 or are they a 1.3 out of 5? Then
yeah. And some professors really took a lot of pride in the fact that they would have a low score or something like that.
Yeah, because the professors always knew their score too. That was always
yeah. So I mean, it was they probably laughed like trying to. I do remember going on there being pretty charged up a few times and like just fucking flaming the teacher on Rate My Professor, just letting them have it. I think the Joss Whedon teacher got a 1 star from us. If I
think you're right.
Recall.
I think she got a lashing.
Yeah, but we definitely got a decent grade in that class.
Yeah, I think we got a B.
Yeah,
which was good because I mean it's not like we were there, with the attentively taking notes either. We were horsing around.
And from what I remember, that was also a late afternoon, kind of like an evening class. Like we got out at like 5:30 or 6.
Like,
yeah.
Because I think I had a class that ended at like 1, and it was like a 4-hour window. Then I went back. I walked back.
I feel like that class happened right after we turned 21, because I remember a few times we hit up the round table on campus, maybe had a beer or two, and then we made our way over to that class.
With your wrist bracelet, where you get 3 punches and then you're cut off, kind of thing.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Oh, oh my god!
Remember they had the Zimas in the case too.
The Zimas. I mean, also, could you charge the alcohol to your if you had like a food
I think you could.
Pass kind of thing, you could? Okay, that would make sense. Because I'm like, first of all, no college kid is going to try to get drunk at the on-campus like round table on shitty Bud Lights.
I think, remember, because we would have it like, I think we had it in the spring or the springtime. Because I think it was like, we would go, because it was like March Madness. Remember, we'd fill out our brackets and we would go to round table on our break with our brackets and like.
Wow. How do you remember this?
Because I remember having the bracket out and like we all had our brackets out and we were like sharing it with like, who do you got winning this game? And like okay, and it's like the game was close. Like, fuck, I gotta go to class.
Was it in the same cafeteria situation? It was a separate restaurant because it had alcohol.
It was separate. They had 2 spots. They had the round table and they had the one in the main cafeteria. But remember they had like a couple beers, but they also had like the wine margaritas.
Wow.
I think it was by was it Panda Express or whatever they had in there?
Panda Express. But I mean, my point is, if you were trying to get a fucking proper buzz on or get wasted, you were going to like Stingers,
yep.
Which was like $4 pitchers of like PBR or something, basically. So if you were trying to get hammered, that's where you were going.
Yeah, but if you didn't want to leave campus, you could just take your 3 drinks at round table and then walk over to the other spot and get your 3 drinks there too.
Oh, right. They would, it was small enough to where you couldn't like rip the bracelet off. They would definitely, definitely see what was going on there. College is such an interesting, because you have the post drinking people and then the kid, 18-year-olds fresh. Yeah, it's quite the mix. Quite the mix. So it's a formative experience for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I remember how panicked I was. I had graduated, confirmed I had the credits, and then I got some call and this was in May when we graduated. I think the ceremony had happened. I didn't walk, but I was done with school. Sometime in July or August, I got an email from admissions. There's been an error. Do you remember this? There's been an error.
So, yeah.
Some of your credits didn't transfer, like 2 or 3 credits, and I had
from Sierra, right?
Yeah, from Sierra, or I was going to San Francisco State for a few years, and I transferred over. They're like, something didn't. You're missing like 2 credits basically, and you need to get 2 credits. And I mean, that was literally a nightmare. A literal nightmare for me would be having to go back.
No, you're not.
I'm done. And it's like, no, you got to go back. That's right. Cause I was inquiring about where my diploma was, cause I felt the need to, you have to kind of submit it to your employer at some point.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so I was like, oh yeah. And they're like, well, you haven't graduated yet. I'm like, stop the cap. This is not,
stop
true.
The cap.
But I don't know how I resolved it, but apparently I did. I have the diploma. I have the piece of paper somewhere.
Can't take it away from you now.
Yeah,
you already printed it. Sorry.
No
givesy backsies.
There's no, yeah, definitely. And it's also, it's official because they use like the old English writing for your name, so it's real.
That's what makes it official.
No Comic Sans on that stuff.
Times New Roman.
Yeah, but and then when you get into work, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm in the workforce now. I'm thinking like, oh, college is important. I've never once really been asked like, where did you graduate?
Nope.
What was your GPA?
Nope.
What classes did you take? What did you learn in Business 201?
No.
No fucks are given about
Oh, you
that.
graduated college? Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Cool. Box? Check.
Usually it's like, in what? Okay. And then
Right.
that's about the only follow-up you get.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to go to, maybe you're trying to get your JD, like your law degree or some sort of accountant thing, like, yes, or your MBA, that stuff obviously
I think you're work for
matters.
A top-tier law firm. I'm sure that those are the questions they ask. But if you're just joining the general population of the workforce, I've never been asked. Besides, you graduated college? Do you have one? And what was it? What was it in? Oh, okay. Maybe what year did you graduate? Oh, okay.
Right.
That's cool. But that's it.
Or what year and what school?
Mm-hmm.
Although having said all that, one of my like first jobs kind of out of college, there was another sort of like, and I think I was a contractor, right? So I was making $20 an hour, which is still, I mean, this is 10, 12 years ago. Still $20 an hour is what these people make, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like fucking $20 an hour. This is righteous bucks to a 22-year-old. And it was there was another guy that started the same, and then one day he was gone. It was like a couple months later, like 3 months later. I'm like, what's up? And they're like, oh, well, they called to verify his diploma, and he actually didn't graduate. He lied on his application saying that he got it. And they fucking fired his ass. So I was like, they actually do check those things?
Oh, shit. Oh, boy. Sorry. I got that 2-unit.
Good thing I got the old. And then the next day, probably just take the picture frame with your diploma off the wall and just like put it on your desk. Be like, just so we're clear here, this is official. It has a seal on it, and again, the old English font.
Yeah.
So it's authentic.
Old English, cool. Okay,
yeah,
checks out.
That
no need to call.
Checks out. Yes, send a cell phone pic in or something like that. But yeah, and then some teachers having now it's probably the game has changed, obviously, but some teachers were very much against no laptops, no note taking in class.
Oh yeah,
is that still a thing, or I feel like you have to have your iPad to take notes?
I don't know,
and
actually.
stuff.
I'll have to
I'll
ask.
have to inquire about this.
Yeah, because usually it's just like, if you want to take notes, you got to write it down, or you'd already have that one person that have like remember the recorder. They would record the.
I do. It was always seemed to be someone who was outside of the median age of what college would be, and they would go up. Or this was always during the first day, like when the teacher's reading the syllabus out. They take their rolling backpack.
I was going to say they don't have a rolling backpack.
Roll right up to the first fucking
like they're boarding a fucking plane.
Center thing. First row, center stage, syllabus read out, and then you see the hand shoot up.
Yeah.
Do you mind, for my own notes, if I record class? Like they spent $80 on the whatever recorder, and they literally would put it on the desk so that you can hear the teacher. And I guess they would like play it back later and take notes.
I think they're just fooling themselves. There's no way you're going to listen to the whole fucking thing again.
I'm like, I'm not even taking notes when the teacher's saying it in real time, and it's not even being retained. This information is not even sticking in my brain. It's just
that would only work if you only had like one class, not 4.
Yeah. What are you doing? Documenting all this? You just have hours of reel to reel in your fucking basement. You're like putting together all this.
They go home. Their house looks like a 1965 CIA lab with like little cassette tapes everywhere, like marked on them.
Semester 1, and those people always just copious amounts, excessive amounts of notes.
Yeah, and
Sticky
I always
notes.
felt bad for them when I'd see those people that would take those notes, and I'm always like, you got to learn what you're going to see again.
You got to have a filter.
Yeah, you got to know. You ain't going to see the whole thing. Kind of, and maybe I was pretty successful in schools, and
yeah,
it's actually what's helped me in my job too. You can I'm pretty good at figuring out what's going to move the needle and what's not going to move the needle. So I'm not going to sit there and take notes about some random shit. Or if the teacher goes off on some sort of unrelated jag, pencils down.
Yes. Pencils down. Pencils down. They're going off on some other tangent. Yeah, I had a couple. I mean, a couple teachers, and there would be some would take attendance, which that would take almost the whole class, trying to check in 100 students that are sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And my name that's registered in school is not Chipper, so then it's like I'm not cued into my actual name because no one calls me that, and then it's like a whole thing. And then I remember it was our freshman was like, oh, actually I go by a different name, and then senior year I'm like, you can call me whatever you call me. Like I'm not this is not a long-term relationship we're having. So it's just a transaction.
As soon as this is over, I'll be like, that's in the wind, out of here.
Yeah. You'll never hear or see from me again. Unless my grade is like on the cellar floor and I need to like act like I'm trying to get my shit together.
Groveling.
Yeah, that was always a thing about. I did appreciate teachers that would do that. You would have your sort of your check-in. Maybe there would be one or two tests. So your grade's not firmed up quite yet, but you're on your way. The path is sort of seen, and it's sort of like a good gut check. Oh, it's usually before the drop period.
Yep. Before you can,
there's a little bit of
you
come
can drop
to Jesus
before you get a W.
Yes, that's right. You could basically say I dropped the class, and then it never shows up like you took it. But if you miss that date and you're like going to get a D, and you don't want to take that on the chin on your permanent record, you take the W, which is withdrawal.
It still counts against you, but not as heavily as.
Yeah,
I don't know the weighting scale of that either.
I don't remember either. I think. Maybe some hubris, I might have a few W's that I thought I could turn it around. But, I don't think so.
No.
I think that I had one anatomy class. This is actually caused a major. I had to change my major after that's right. Fucking nuking this thing. Literally in that class that we had a cadaver. We had like a cadaver in there, and it's the test that we had was literally a blank sheet, and it just had like numbers 1 through 50. And you would walk into where the cadaver was, and there would be a pin with a little flag, and it would say 42. And you had to say what the muscle was or what exactly it was stuck in. I'm in that class. I'm fucking just sweating bullets. I'm like, there's no way I'm making it through this after that. Like it was not good.
I did the intro to anatomy with you, but remember when we had to dissect like the sheep eye or something, I was like, I'm out. I can't do that.
It's a bridge too far.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done
it again.
We've done it again, Cern, as usual. We sort of stuck on at least one topic this time somehow, more or less one.
More or less.
We did a good job. School taught us something.
Stay on task.
But we'll be back next week with another juicy nugget of jolly for you. And we're still slinging free hats. Swoop those up. Just fire us off an email.
chipandcernshow@gmail.com.
Boom. There it is. That's it. We're done.
That's it.
Till next time. I'm Chip.
I'm Cern.
Cheers.